If I want to pass the guard against someone who knows what they're doing, the odds of me passing while I'm in kind of the teeth of their offense, they drop dramatically, right? Like one of the things that I try to, the formula that I follow with the curriculum that I have in my club, with everybody that I teach, like I mentioned earlier, is we're trying to train you to beat black belts. So at the high level, when you're competing against good people who know this stuff, you're not just generally gonna pass someone's De La Riva guard. Right? It's very, very rare. You're not just going to pass someone's spider guard. You have to disengage. Anytime you don't like the way things are going, you should disengage. So the first part of that has been grip breaking. Now we want to re-engage. So when we re-engage, I need to understand when I'm passing the guard what my opponent's goals are in the guard and what my goals are now to defeat those goals. So I'm just going to give a quick explanation of what the guard is, which I know it seems like kind of condescending to a room full of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners to explain to you what the guard is, but you go on top. Yeah. The guard is not a submission delivery system. The guard is not, let me throw stuff up at you. That's a bad guard. That's a beginner guard. If you do that to someone good, how many of you have thrown up a triangle or an armbar and got your guard passed? Be honest. Come on, be honest. Who's not had that happen? If you haven't had that happen, then you're either lying or you haven't been doing jiu-jitsu long enough, or you just don't attempt submissions from the bottom. The reason those things fail is, as I mentioned earlier, he has proper position. So his base posture and structure are aligned, and I haven't disabled them. Again, I'm going to steal a line from Ryan Hall. Don't buy into the Brazilian jiu-jitsu marketing scheme. The guard is not the advantageous position. It's the position that you can defend yourself from effectively if you use it right, but it's not the position that I use to come after you. I don't chase you with submissions right now. Because let's look at where my legs are right now, and let's look at where his arms are. His structure is good, my structure is broken, and he's got access to two giant levers to my hips. So if we can refer back to what I mentioned earlier about jiu-jitsu's frames and levers. I want to use frames to manage distance, and I want to use levers to close distance. So as a guard player, my main job, and what the guard is it's a range management tool. If I can manage this, so this with the spider guard, if I manage the distance between us, if I get my foot on his hip, he's not getting any closer to me right now. Now, I can attack him. I broke his structure. I took him a little bit out of base. I broke his posture. Now my triangle will work. I'm never going to get past throwing a triangle like that, but I'll get past all the time throwing up a wacky triangle from the bottom of guard. And I don't say this to, by the way, insult anybody, because I was this guy for like 7 or 8 years. Oh, I'm going to you from the bottom. No. The sooner you learn that, the better your jiu-jitsu is going to get a lot earlier. So if I recognize from the bottom that I'm the guy who wants to manage the distance, the best way to manage the distance with the tools we have at our disposal, which is the human body, bones are good frames. Muscles, they're not just not good frames, they're not frames at all. So if I'm using this kind of bench press motion, my muscles are going to fail. But if I'm using my feet, my shins at the end of my thighs, my elbows here, those are all good frames. Good guard players constantly use frames to keep you at a distance, and they use hooks to keep you from being able to retreat. So if you stand up, conceptually there are 3 types of guards and 1 hybrid set. So a frame-based guard, which would be like the spider. You've got a hook-based guard and a frame-based guard. So this would be a hybrid guard. 1 hook, 1 frame. Butterfly guard would be hook-based guard, and then if you come down on your knees, the closed half guard, the closed guard are clamp-based guards. So you have frame-based, hook-based, and clamp-based guard, and then again, hook and frame hybrids. So on the bottom, I now know what a good guard player is going to be mainly employing, which is frames and hooks to keep me at a distance. If I can therefore deny him the ability to establish his frames and his hooks, now I'm no longer dealing with his main tool for offense. And when I say offense, I don't mean like necessarily submissions or sweeps. When I say offense, I mean the ability to take me out of position so that I'm vulnerable. For instance, from the butterfly guard, if Gary starts to rock my base and I go like this, I'm super vulnerable now for follow-up attacks, different types of sweeps. If he's got, again, the spider guard on me, and he starts to tip me to one side like, oh crap, now I'm super vulnerable to submissions. So when I say offense from the guard, that's real offense from the guard. The ability to rock people out of position and make anyone susceptible to submissions. Because You know, a lot of times you see people like at the black belt level, man, that guy's so hard to submit. It's not that, I'm not saying he's not, but like the difference between being hard to submit because you're always in correct position and you never allow yourself to be here, and the difference between being hard to submit because your limbs are made of rubber. Like, I don't want to be the guy whose limbs are made of rubber, because when you're 50, you're going to have horrible arthritis because your joints are like, every gym has that guy who can't be Kimura because he's super flexible. And again, nothing wrong with that, but you're not hard to submit because of anything you do. That's like mom and dad jiu-jitsu. That's genetics. You were born that way. You didn't get good at doing this. Being hard to submit comes from being in correct position. So good offense from the guard is taking somebody out of correct position and making them vulnerable. Does everybody kind of follow what I'm saying? Okay, so his offense is going to come from his ability to make hooks and frames and manage the distance between us. I want to get close to him. He doesn't want me to get close to him, or he wants me at a certain range. So when we disengage, I re-engage with the knowledge that he wants either to get grips here and here on my sleeve or on my ankle and make some variety of hooks and frames. So if we back up, we're going to do what's called torreando pass, which, again, I'm sure you've heard the term, which is commonly done like this. You get pant grips. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen this. Pull, stack. Everyone's seen that? Yes? Okay. We're going to do it a little bit differently, because I'm not saying this is wrong, but if I go here and here, go to spider guard. He's instantaneously able to make frames and get grips. So every time I give him the pant leg control, I'm giving him his frames. By the same token, if I try to like skip by his legs and go, all right, let me get some grips up here, well, he's got his frames in place again. So I don't ever want to give him frames. I'm going to reset to my beginning position, get my grips on top of his ankles or on top of his shins or one or the other. Now he cannot make a hook. He cannot make an effective frame. All right? I'm here, not here, so he can't get a good, easy grip on me. I'm back here like this, and I'm rocking him. And then I can start redirecting. So that's going to be the method that we use to pass. Specifically for today, we're going to go double grips on the shins. I'm going to rock, and then when I get a response, well, even if I don't get a response, I can still do this. I'm going to take a step, and I'm going to push this leg down. The emphasis normally with the torreando is I'm pushing this leg out of the way. That's not wrong, we can certainly do that. But what I actually want to emphasize, proper guard passing tends to involve control of the hip and the lever to the hip, or both levers to the hip. So if I want to move him and I just push on that lever, I'm going to rotate his hip into a vulnerable angle. Right? Whereas if I'm trying to push this down, he's got good structure, he can maintain, see how he immediately went to a couple of frames? But if I step my body this way and push, I'm going to be able to clear his guard. So we've done our breaks, we've reset to here, we get our control. I'm going to step, in this case to my left, and I'm going to push his leg all the way down. As I do that, I can switch and start pushing this knee down. So that's our first pass. It's called a step and push torreando. For those of you that are familiar with Leandro Lowe, who's a multiple-time black belt world champion, Keenan Cornelius recently started using this style of passing. He used it exactly like this in the Metamoris match against Yuri Samoas. For those of you that watched that, he was here, basically just went right by his guard. And when you see the highlight of the match, like, what the hell just happened? That looks fake. It's just correct timing and understanding the mechanics of the scenario. If I push this way, that lever becomes extremely vulnerable to this kind of pushing style. If I don't push this way, I just go like this, yeah, he just maintains his knee-elbow connection. The structure's still good because I haven't controlled this side of his hip yet. So I'm going to control this side by pushing down and this side by pushing down. I'm just going to drop right into side control. So one more time, I've disengaged. 1, 2, and I can pretty much just fall into side control. Whichever version of side control you prefer. If you prefer this, do that. If you prefer this, do this. They're both equally effective depending on what style of side control you prefer to use. Does anyone need to see the movement again?